His murder trial continues today with testimony from more eyewitnesses. Her father testifying yesterday about the final moments of his daughter's life on a San Francisco pier back in 2015. The defense team says the shooting was accidental. William Lajeunesse is live from our West Coast bureau. Like any trial, William, attorneys on both sides are painting two very different pictures of what happened that day.
Exactly, and the defense claims that Jose Zarate is a harmless homeless man who speaks very little English. He fired the gun accidentally, and had he been a college student or a tourist, the defense says charges never would have even been filed. Prosecutors say this was not an accident. Holding the gun high, the DA said this is the weapon that killed Kate Steinle. She is dead because this man pointed a gun in her direction and pulled the trigger. Witnesses, video, and the defendant's own words, she says, show that he intentionally fired. And had he not been guilty, he would have helped Steinle and not run. The sole witness was Kate's father, Jim, who recalled walking arm in arm with Kate the moment she was hit.
She stops, she takes a selfie, she turns around, and shot. As she fell, she said, "Help me, Dad." That's my bedtime story. Every night.
Oh my goodness.
Prosecution experts say the gun was double action, meaning you'd first have to pull back the slide to chamber a round before firing a shot. Sandra?
William, what is the defense argument?
Well, they claim, number one, Zarate did not steal the gun, that he found it on a pier and it discharged accidentally. And it is true that the bullet did ricochet off the pavement, proof the defense claims this was an accident. The gun, they argue, fired on its own when Zarate grabbed it or stepped on it, and that he threw it in the water to make it stop firing.
If he didn't know that the object he touched had a gun in it, then he does not bear criminal responsibility.
So the gun was stolen out of a car of a federal agent 4 days earlier. The defense claims had it not been for his negligence, Kate would be alive today.
Now let's listen to the lefties and how they've portrayed the story.
Now facing murder charges, undocumented immigrant Juan Francisco Lopez Sanchez told a judge he was not guilty in the killing of 32-year-old Kate Steinle. Even with the Spanish translator, he didn't seem to understand what was going on in court and answered the judge's questions about court dates with the same answer, not guilty, in Spanish.
No culpable.
Wednesday, Steinle was enjoying a walk along San Francisco Pier 14 with her father when she was suddenly struck with a bullet. As she lay on the ground, she pleaded with her father to help her. He tried, but she died at the hospital. It was a random encounter, but the details have sparked a political firestorm because Lopez Sanchez was an undocumented immigrant allowed out of jail just 3 months ago, even after his record showed several felony convictions and 5 deportations to Mexico. As a so-called sanctuary city, San Francisco said it was following its own policy that prevents it from holding non-violent offenders for immigration and customs enforcement unless it has a court order. ICE blames the local government for failing to notify it about Sanchez's release, but the local government says ICE didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Are you sort of saying that the feds made the blunder here?
What I'm saying is that the laws are changing in municipalities throughout this state and throughout this country. And I feel that the feds need to really catch up. And this was affirmed even in a meeting that I had with Homeland Security Cabinet Secretary Johnson and their deputy director earlier this year when he met with myself and other Bay Area sheriffs to suggest our laws are changing. What is it that the feds are going to do in order to comport with our requirements? Because ultimately they still need an order from a judge in order to facilitate the deportation of somebody who had been incarcerated or once incarcerated.
ICE did not get a judge's order. Immigrant rights advocates say the politicization of these cases misses a huge point. It's not about immigrants' rights, it's about gun rights.
We're getting distracted by conflating immigration with criminal justice and criminalizing entire swaths of community based on the horrible actions of one person. And that doesn't address—
One? You mean many?
These horrible tragedies from happening again. There needs to be questions asked about how people obtain guns in this country compared to other countries.
Now, Lopez Sanchez is expected back here in court on June 20th and June 27th, and that is because when the judge kept asking about those dates, he was very confused and just kept saying not guilty. So the judge says, okay, we're going to go ahead and have you here in court. He is now in jail on a $5 million.
So, of course, he's going to act as if he doesn't understand. How does an illegal immigrant gets deported 5 times and still is able to roam the streets? How is it? After the first time you detained him from re-entering into the country, it is a felony. So why wasn't he put into jail, sent to ICE for deportation? How does he keep re-entering and keeps being charged for re-entering the country? So let's look at this video and then we'll have a discussion.
It's a final wake-up call for these sanctuary policies. Here with the debate, former Trump Hispanic Advisory Council member Steve Cortez joins us from the sanctuary city of Chicago, and syndicated columnist Ruben Navarrete joins us from the sanctuary city of San Diego. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Ruben, let's start with you. It's clear he pulled the trigger. And you thought he would have, after having been charged, would be convicted of at least one murder charge, didn't you?
No, I did not. I thought he'd be convicted of involuntary manslaughter. The prosecutors got greedy by going after first-degree, second-degree murder. You heard the father speak on Fox and Friends here. You heard that it was a ricochet off the pier. He heard a shot come out. All this time I've thought, in watching this, Steve, watching this story, that the suspect, the killer, confronted the Steinleys. He didn't. He was some distance away. This was a complete accident. And so I would have liked to see involuntary manslaughter.
Ruben, so at the very least, Ruben, in the beginning, his first story was, yeah, I had the gun and I was going to shoot at SEALs. So, and then for the defense attorney, then Steve Cortez, to come up with this, you know, he found it and he picked it up and it went off and it shot 3 times. What's up with this jury out in San Francisco?
Exactly.
Well, apparently they believe fairy tales, but the sad thing is, you know, I'm not trying to be funny about it because there's nothing funny about this story. A beautiful young American is dead, and why? Because of the misbegotten so-called sanctuary city policies of San Francisco and a lot of jurisdictions, including where I am right now, as you mentioned, Chicago. Liberal politicians in this country would rather put illegal immigrants and rather put their narrow political agenda over the safety of the citizens that they are supposed to serve. And by the way, too, Steve, I also hate that I don't know why, to some degree, we've surrendered the language over to the left. Sanctuary cities. This was no sanctuary for Kate Steinle, for her poor father who had her die in his arms. When they talk about dreamers, you know, some of these young Americans who were killed, they had dreams too. It's not just illegal immigrant young people who are dreamers. Americans have dreams too. So I want us to reclaim the language. I call them outlaw cities, and I think it's important that the federal government rein this in. I think it's going to be a massive issue for 2018 elections.
Ruben, this guy at the time of the killing was a 7-time felon. And he was deported 5 times. He should not have been in the United States of America. You would agree, if somebody's deported and they're a felon, they should not be in this country, don't you?
That's absolutely right. And if anything, this story tells us that when you deport somebody, they don't stay deported, they come back. So you can't deport your way out of our immigration problem because he did come back. All these were non-violent. All these were non-violent offenses. They were drug and alcohol crimes. He had no record. He wasn't an MS-13 gangbanger who had a history of killing people.
Doesn't matter.
You got to understand, this was never a good case.
He was a felon. He was
deported.
Keep him out.
It's a felony when you come back into the country after you've been removed once before.
Ruben, I do actually agree with you. I do agree with you.
This was never a good case. This was never a good case.
Steve,
the reason that the deportations have not been working, though, is because we don't have control of our border. We're getting control, thank goodness, under President Trump, but we need that wall. And this,
I have to disagree.
Once he is done with his sentence for his gun charge, once he is done, this creep needs to be deported immediately, and we need to build that wall so that he can never come back to the United States.
Ruben,
so this isn't about the wall. It's about employers hiring illegal immigrants. When they interviewed this suspect at the very beginning, they said, "Why'd you come to San Francisco?" His first answer, "I saw the interview live. I came to work in the restaurant industry. I came for a job." Not because it was a sanctuary. There's no such thing as a sanctuary city. In Steve's city of Chicago, my city of San Diego, Today, right now, immigration agents are arresting people in our cities. It's not true.
But the
it's
local
a false
police
news.
are not
Ruben, hold on a
It
second.
is true.
Ruben,
It
it is a sanctuary city because he was arrested and he was deported out of San Francisco, but he kept coming back because it was San Francisco and they were turning a blind eye. Steve Cortez.
Yeah, he's saying he came back for the job. So the fact is that the sheriff has said repeatedly that ICE never asked for or issued a warrant in this case. If ICE wanted it so badly, they could have issued a warrant for him. When it all went bad, everybody pointed the fingers.
Well,
cops were pointing the fingers at each other.
Sure.
This was never the perfect test case.
That was always the problem with employers who hire undocumented aliens. All right, Steve Cortez will give you the final word.
Well, look, also, sadly, this is hardly an isolated case. Just in California alone, Sandra Duran in Los Angeles, Jameel Shaw Jr., a young football star, both killed by multiple times deported and convicted illegal immigrants allowed to stay in that sanctuary jurisdiction. There are sanctuary, again, I hate the term outlaw cities. There are outlaw cities in this country that are preventing the cops on the ground from cooperating with ICE to get known dangerous people out of here. That lunacy has to stop. President Trump, I implore you to take even more action in this regard.
Well, it is a shocking verdict, and I know both of you were expecting him to be convicted of, in your case, Ruben, manslaughter. That didn't happen, and Steve, I know you wanted a murder charge.
So family, once again, a tragic story of an American that was killed by an illegal immigrant who had a long criminal charges of possession of drugs, of stealing, of re-entering the country 5 times. Now this beautiful woman, Kate, has lost her life because of this illegal immigrant. How many more stories are we going to have to tell? So everyone, join me in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about this story. Tell me, how do you feel about these illegal immigrants getting off on murder charges after they kill American citizens? Where is the sanctuary city for someone like Kate? So again, drop a comment in the comment section. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Click the notification bell so you'll always be alerted when I drop another video. And remember, remain curious and stay bold. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a good evening.